Hello! I'm working on this Metroidvania game here. It's got a retro-inspired look with a darker undertone. Progress has been pretty good so far. I mean, at least I think so. But there's been a constant snag I've been running into. Now it doesn't matter whether I'm trying to improve enemy AI, create a new land, or develop a new game mechanic. All of them are impeded by the simple fact of what is the soul of this game? And when I take that time to figure out exactly what that answer is, I'm constantly stopped by these mental blocks. Some might call that procrastination.
Now let's see how it looks so far. The time.
But whatever. Now I followed that thought rabbit down the hole, and what I realized was I can't make better enemies if I don't know what those enemies are going to be. I can't know what those enemies are going to be until I know what the story is. And that reminded me of a quote I came across once.
I wisely started with the maps and made the story fit. You're the way about to land's only conclusion and possibilities. And in any case, it's rare work to compose a map from a story.
Yeah, so I started there. I started with the map. But quickly realized if I gotta create test world after test land after test level, I don't want to have to redraw or remake each of these minimaps when they could draw themselves. So somehow that's where I actually landed, making a more dynamic and a more lazy minimap. So let me explain. Whenever you're playing a Metroidvania, there's always a way to show you what the scene around you looks like. That connection between you as the player and the world that you now reside in. This can be shown in a number of ways. You got your highlighted, blocked out room tracing method. You got your verbatim copy pasta method where the map looks exactly like the level. Or you got your more artistic personalized type maps that seem like they were drawn. But in order to actually create something that's beautiful, a lot of time and a lot of effort has got to be put in. With each area, we not only have to design that level, but spend double effort creating it again all miniaturized like. And I definitely don't want to create anything twice. Helios. And you know I'll be flipping these levels back and forth more times than a flapjack at IHOP. So I went out to try and figure out how to make these maps build themselves. Alright, let's just first enter our little test area here. So we got the first method, where we scan our level's tile map and trace out a pixelized version of the level. Basically, every tile on the tile map is looped through and drawn out as a square onto a smaller canvas. Kinda looks like you're taking some crayons and drawing out your best impression of a first grader's treasure map. Okay, so that technique's useful to learn, but yeah, not a finished product. So next, we move on to the copy pasta method. Taking an exact snapshot of the whole level and shrinking it. Problem is, tile maps, like the one I'm using to make my level here, they can't be resized. So how do I take a snapshot if most of the level is outside of the player's view? Well, the idea is, if we can't change the size of the tile map, then we'll just have to change the size of the player's view itself. I'll increase the size of all that you can see for a split second. Take a snapshot, then shrink that shot back down to size and move everything into place. Looks nice, looks nice. But yet again, not good enough to call it a day. But it might have been good enough for that subscribe button to have earned a smack, huh? I don't know, maybe. Alright, so how do we incorporate what we just learned to create something that matches our level more closely, whilst having a more, let's call it, drawn in type look? And to make sure that we don't have this weird staggery, laggy thingy that we get going on when we resize the viewport. Alright, well, we gotta do a few things first. First, instead of doing a one-to-one clone, we can take our tracing method we learned from before, and instead of drawing a pixel square when we scan over a tile, we instead draw a brand new tile with a different tile map. That way we can choose any artistic look we want, like so. Now we want to implement what we learned from the snapshot experiment, but how do we solve our lag issue? Well, maybe instead of changing the size of the viewport or the size of the tile map, we can change where it rests in three-dimensional space. So what do I mean by this? Take for instance, when you're trying to take a picture of a building and it doesn't fit into the frame, is your first thought, how do I make this building smaller? No. In order to fit it in your shot, you're gonna take some steps back. Then you're gonna line it up so that the width and the height of the building fit into the shot, fool. That aligning, when done with math, is usually referred to as the z-depth calculation. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna change the z-axis of our newly created drawn-in tile map based on its size and the size of the viewport using the z-depth calculation so that it appears far away. Now that we have the whole tile map inside of our viewport, we can place a square mask around it that'll clip the edges like so. Then that causes those clipped edges to fade out. Nice, nice. Then we actually move this stuff over into our real game here. And finally, follow our player around as he moves all around the map. Beautiful. You can also see that only the areas that have been discovered actually show up on the map too. Is it perfect? No. Can I use some polish? Yeah, maybe. Am I gonna perfect it now? No. That's future Dylan's problem as far as I'm concerned. What I got here is a fast track method to constant, iterative failure. And I actually mean that in a good way. The less difficulty I have when designing these new areas, the more and the faster I can iterate to try and see if I hate them or I like them. Because how are you going to succeed if you don't fail a million times first? Obviously, we can tell from this devlog that I do plan in the near future to tackle some of the design / story / game soul stuff pretty soon. Will it be the next devlog? I don't know. Maybe. We'll see. For now, I'm content with where I'm leaving this off and moving on to try and make this game better than it has the right to be. So, thanks for sharing a cup of tea with me. It's been a blast, people. I hope you subscribe, and I'll see you next time on TeaNTgames.